Merry meet and welcome to Lex Dragon Queen Magic. I'm Taylor and today is our Divine Masculine collective reading. And so whether you are here to balance out your own energies or to check into a twin flame connection, there definitely is a message for you here today. With that, let's go ahead and get started. So right off the bat, we do have the Crusader coming out for us. I stand for truth. And then you may want to pause to further embody and engage with the energy. Now, essentially what we're seeing come through with the Crusader is there is this need to understand exactly what we are standing up for and how we're standing up for them. Because a lot of times what we see is things get twisted for the ego and for a sense to be unwilling to change the way that we communicate and adapt. So there is a need here to understand exactly how you are trying to get your point across, and if you're truly listening to the other party. There is a need to understand too if you are needing to take pause and understand that maybe there is not a way to convince one or the other that your way is the right way, and there may be a way not just to compromise but to see a path into accepting all of the ideas and beliefs that are surrounding you. So again, this is more of a call to understand truly what you are standing up for and how you're communicating with it, and to be sure that you're communicating with love and acceptance over hate and violence. And so keeping that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look into the moon energy. We just, at the time of this reading, just had the full moon in Libra, so we're going to take a look into the waning weeks and see how that energy of the moon is affecting us, as well as what we need to look into releasing. And so to start us off, we do have work through your fears, new moon in Scorpio. So this is very interesting. So right now this is telling me that this full moon has really brought up some changes within ourselves, within our relationships, and we are needing to understand exactly how we are working within this world. And so we are seeing a lot of insecurities come through, and so that's why this Crusader energy is also coming through, because there's a defensive energy within and around us that is making us want to respond in a way that may not be as befitting as the enlightened beings that we are. And so what to release? Interesting. So we have prosperity lies ahead, new moon in Taurus. So really what I'm seeing here is there's a need to release the plan that you had held on to for so long, because there is abundance waiting you. So there is a need to open up your mind and open up your heart a little bit further into the situation. And so I'm hearing like letting go of fear, letting go of disbelief. So essentially you're wanting to have more faith right now in your relationships and within yourself, to understand that you're going to get through these moments. You're able to overcome those fears that you have, and to truly start to let go of the fears that you have held on to for so long, and the ways that you have tried to work through those fears have not worked. And so it's time to try something new in a more positive light. So essentially just what I'm seeing is, because normally this isn't a time when you want to try new things, but I'm seeing that it's time to try a new way of releasing. And so I'm seeing a lot of like journal work, if you haven't done that in the past, or if you've done that too much. So if you haven't done journal work, then you're being called to do it. If that's something that you've done often, then you're being called to do something a little bit more active and materialistic, such as literally getting rid of those pages, or such as burning a candle as you speak out your thoughts instead. And then that way, once the candle is done burning, you're also done purging your thoughts in that moment. So that may be a practice that some of you want to try in order to truly let go and release these fears. Something too with that is you could, if you're working on a partnership and understanding how to communicate better in that relationship, that is something too that you can do, is light a candle, and then essentially lighting a candle in a dark room can make it seem a little more confrontational, and so it can make you seem a little bit more secure and open up to your partner. And especially if you need to not be able to see each other, then that may be something to look into doing, is having that little bit of physical disconnect so that you can have a little bit more intimacy with your emotions. Okay, and then right off the heels of that, we have a new romantic cycle begins, new moon in Libra. So really love this, because ultimately, first off, we are seeing that we got all new moons for this. So this energy in these waning weeks for us is going to actually ultimately be more about gaining, but it's because we're letting go of those fears. We're letting go of those things that hold us back. We're also learning to communicate in a much more loving way. So we're letting go of harmful habits that don't just harm ourselves, but harm the relationships around us. And because of that, we're going to see this abundance in our relationships. And so if you have been, for those who are, because we have a mixed bag of people who watch. So we have some who are going through a divorce, who are going through a separation of some kind. We have those who are single and looking for their twin flame. And then, of course, we have those who are just in perfect connection with their twin flame. And so ultimately what we're seeing, though, is that there is going to be a new phase in your romantic relationships. So if you are in connection with your twin flame and you have not been going through as much upheavals as it may seem, ultimately what's going to happen is that things are going to get even better, because you're going to be releasing those things that hold you back and ultimately opening yourself up to become a much better partner, because you're allowing yourself to be more vulnerable and more intimate. And then the other thing, though, then is if you are working through and you just recently have been changing your relationship and separating from that partner that may not be your twin flame, maybe, who knows? There's always a chance that it is a twin flame separation. So definitely just however it resonates for you. But ultimately at this time, you're being called to pull away from the relationship. And what you're seeing is that you're going to start a new romantic relationship. I'm seeing for some that it's going to be a new phase where you're falling in love with yourself so that you can truly understand what that means before you're able to come into your twin flame connection. And then for others, I'm seeing that this separation is needed so that you can go into your twin flame connection in truth. So again, it seems like there has been something that has been holding you back from pursuing the relationship that you want. And so now you are letting go of those insecurities, those fears that have been holding you back. You're speaking up and you're holding up, yeah, I stand for truth. You're standing into your more truth, your authenticity. And you are learning exactly how to communicate, though, in a loving and accepting way to where all parties can truly move forward and be accepting of these new beginnings that are happening around you. And then, of course, for those who are single, this is the same exact energy that is coming through, is that you are releasing those fears, those insecurities, and you are going to find so much more abundance within the relationships around you. And that new romantic partner is going to come into your life. So definitely some very interesting energy to take into note for the coming waning weeks, but ultimately to hold on to the fact that as you trust yourself and release the fears and insecurities and you work through those, so we are seeing that you're working through them. You're not just standing by idly and breathing through the moment. You are talking through it. You are speaking your points. You are in some shape or form therapizing yourself to be able to communicate better and understand truly what holds you back and why, so that you can further remove the obstacle. So it's not a very passive week. It is still a very much a doing week, which again is just we're seeing with this new moon energy. Okay, and so let's take a look into the tarot surrounding us. Okay, so very interesting. Right away, we have the Two of Wands reversed coming out. And so this is confirming for us that we are very much in this indecisive, stuck energy, but we are in the planning stages. So if you are feeling that, at least this week, that you are not ready to move forward, to take a step away from the current connection that you have, from the current feelings that you have, then that is okay. Because ultimately, this is just saying, like, you are now allowed to have those thoughts ruminate, though, and hopefully turn more into planning and then expansion. But right now, we are seeing that you are going to be feeling very indecisive, a little bit stuck, and a little bit stagnant. Okay, and then we are seeing especially why is the Five of Wands coming out reverse, and then there is going to be a lot of arguments that are happening. There's going to be some gossip and rumors that are surrounding you. This has actually kind of been a theme coming up recently, especially for the divine masculine side, is this need to do what's right for you versus what others think is right for you. But even, and knowing that when you do that and when you choose what's right for you, that those who say that they care and support you are instead going to turn against you. And that is a hard battle to understand and a hard battle to go towards. But there is so much understanding to know that as you release these fears and insecurities, as you start to communicate who you are and how you feel about things, again, you're learning how to do it in a loving way. So maybe that's again why we have this defensive energy around us, because we're wanting to stand up for what we believe in, but we're not necessarily doing it in the right way. We're doing it maybe in a passive aggressive way or a straight aggressive way. And now it's time to do it in an assertive way. even though that will upset people. So just understanding exactly what that means so that you know that you are doing everything in a very practical way and opening yourself up for a much more loving connections, much more supportive connections. You'll start to notice the difference, and that will encourage you along your path. So again, we are seeing that we are needing you to just step away from this gossip and rumors, because it is still going to be surrounding you, and that is what is leading you to this indecision. That is what leading you to this very roundabout energy. But I do see that you can break out of it. It is all up to you. That is probably definitely why we're seeing this within the Divine Masculine side of the reading, because that is requiring a little bit more direct energy than is typically called from the Divine Feminine. So the Divine Feminine is able to be that more vulnerable person, but right now we're seeing that the Divine Masculine side is needing to stand up. Okay, and so next we have some affirmations, in a sense, that you can take and adopt into your energy this week, and that ultimately will become themes. And so perfect. I love this. Right off the bat, we have I invoke laughter. This is so true and so great, because this is reminding you that you are allowed to have fun. You are allowed to go through these tense situations and still enjoy yourself, because there is a balancing act that you are doing. And so it may seem, I'm hearing that you may be shaming yourself for having any kind of joy or pleasure during this moment, but that is not something to shame yourself for. That is something to balance out those energies that are dragging you down, so that you can continuously go back up. And when you start to truly enjoy this, you will start to see how you invoke laughter with those around you as well. And I'm hearing that's going to really point you in the right direction, because the ones that you're having fun with are going to be the ones that are going to start supporting you more. Those ones that you have tension with, even when you speak up more about who you are, and I'm hearing they're going to act petty. So there's a way to understand when an argument and the emotions of another are truly valid versus when someone is just nitpicking or being a little bit petty in the moment. And so I'm seeing that you're going to truly start to understand exactly who and how people are speaking to you. So, and with that, again, this laughter is going to just help highlight and point you in the right direction as you get started. So I'm seeing, again, this is over the next couple of weeks, and you're really going to start understanding exactly who is supporting you in relationships and who is supporting your boundaries. Okay, and then next we have, I affirm that all life is sacred. So this is such great energy to come up. We do have Earth Day coming up this week, and so this is telling me a couple of different things. One, this is, again, you understanding exactly how you communicate within this world and how you're coming across to others. You care so much about that, and Spirit is here just letting you know that it is evident. So it may seem like it's not, because the people you're talking to aren't willing to recognize the efforts that you're taking in order to affirm this feeling for them. But ultimately what is coming out is that you are able to really, that's why you're able to communicate in this way, because this is a core belief within you that all life is sacred. So you are not looking to judge others for how they live their lives. You are simply trying to live your own life. Okay. And then the other one, wow, I love this. The other energy that we have coming out for you today is I am forgiving. And so ultimately what I am seeing with this energy is the fact that this is what you're seeking for within this week, but I'm seeing that you are forgiving yourself first within this first week, and then forgiveness will come from others around you after. And so with that, something that we say here often is that you have to, the own energy that you put through yourself, you will be able to see out into the world, but you have to become a channel for it 3 times over. And so as you become a channel for forgiveness 3 times over within yourself, you will then see forgiveness in those around you as well. So just take that to know exactly how powerful and understanding that you can become, and how that will influence those around you. But ultimately, I'm just hearing from Spirit that this is the week to truly let yourself be and truly understand that you are doing everything that you can to bring love into the situation, to bring happiness into the situation. And I'm also hearing like there is a need to forgive how you got to this point, right? There was, I believe it was just last week, there was a lot of conversation around understanding our choices and how we became who we are today. And so maybe that ended up sending you into a little bit more depressive loop than we meant to, but it was meant to really highlight and understand exactly where you are in your life and how you still can change your life for the better. And so understanding that maybe the decisions and choices and the way that you've lived your life to this point, just forgive those actions that you have lived, maybe you've been, I'm hearing, a little bit too aggressive in the past, and now you're trying to understand exactly what that means. And so you're seeking forgiveness from others before you are able to forgive yourself, and it needs to be the other way around. So definitely understand, though, it is important to have that forgiveness from others when maybe you have been violent or aggressive against them, but it is their choice if they forgive you or not. So there is also a need to understand if you can forgive yourself rather than constantly living in shame. So there is a need to understand shame versus guilt. So some good questions to ask yourself when you are shaming yourself is, am I going to do this again? How can I avoid? Do I want to do this again? How can I avoid doing this again? What can I change about myself so that this doesn't happen? Okay, and so that can be a very good practice for you to come into more understanding and how to escape that shame cycle that you have been placed in. I'm hearing again, it's going to be so important to have fun and laughter. So just remember, because that got a little bit heavy. So anytime you are feeling a little bit down, I'm hearing it's going to be so important for you to go find something that makes you laugh in that moment. So of course, finish your practice, don't run away from it and get through the exercise. But as long as you write it down and you can come back and review it later, it is encouraged for you to take a break to where you can lighten your soul again. Okay, so now let's take a look into the external energies around you. And so, okay, first we have Sanctuary coming out for you. To focus. Anyways, embrace the need for solitude. Your inner sanctuary calls you. Renew yourself and thrive. I love this because really we are seeing this need to understand yourself again, to understand exactly how you are working within this world and how you can better be supported by the world around you. And so this is beautiful confirmation from Spirit that you are going to have the energy and the ability to have the sanctuary and to move into this moment of peace and reflection. Okay, and then next we have Elegance. It is found in the beauty of nature, the lotus waiting to bloom. Be the swan on the water and glide. So this is so interesting because we are seeing that there's this energy of it seeming like it's going to be rough, choppy waters, but instead you're seeing that that is not going to happen. Instead, you're seeing that things are going to just become a lot more easier. Again, because as you release your fears and insecurities, things are just going to open up in such a way that everything becomes a lot smoother. And so again, beautiful confirmation that as you do this, you are going to be supported. So it may seem like you are disrupting things when you stand up for yourself, but instead it is going to only help things flow forward. Okay. And then next we have Clarity. Banish the fog of illusion. Open your eyes to the truth. Remember the perfection of who you are. Yes. Okay. Just again, more confirmation that you have all the support around you in order to go through these moments, in order to think through exactly the choices that you're making and truly understand how you want to move forward. So that external energy around you of that rumor and gossips, you are seeing that you are going to be able to pull away from it. You are seeing that you are going to pull away from that indecisive energy, and you are going to truly understand exactly how you want to move forward. And this is just the first week is really what I'm seeing. And over this next 2 weeks is how you're going to truly gain those new relationships that are supportive to you. But this first week is all about you and understanding exactly who you are and what you want and how you're doing it. All right, and now last and certainly not least, we do have the Archetype cards. So you may want to pause and screenshot the image for later meditation if it supports you. And so first we have the Destroyer. So very interesting energy coming out from here. So instantly what I'm hearing is the energy from Shiva, and Shiva destroys in order to create. So right now you are being called to be the destroyer because the creator is a different card within this deck. So right now you are being called to move through your life and destroy the things that no longer serve you. You are being the active participant. That is why this is in the Divine Masculine reading, because this is the energy that is being called to pull it up. It is being called to be disciplined in the boundaries that you are setting for yourself and to respect yourself in these moments, because ultimately you are wanting to take down the walls that surround you. But in order to do that, you need to build new foundations. And so at first you may need to build your boundaries a little bit further so that you may be comfortable with those walls. So that is kind of a mental exercise that we're seeing here now, is the need to understand exactly, if you put yourself as if you're in a house and then you built up a wall surrounding that house because it was so close. So if you like step outside your door, you could touch the wall, rather than if you built up a fence where you have to walk a few paces to get there. And then that's a much more comfortable boundary for you without you needing to be so closed off. So that ultimately is the energy coming forward, is understanding how you can open yourself up and where those boundaries can lie so that you can feel comfortable without, again, feeling closed off and not being able to share who you truly are. Because that ultimately is what's happening. There is this need to destroy the image of your past self so that you can truly come into who you're wanting to be. Again, a need for forgiveness for who you've been in the past so that you can truly become this new person. So that's why you're being called to take on this role of destroyer. Okay, and then our last one is the mountain. So very interesting. So we did have a self and a place today. So something that may be of note is there may be a certain mountain that came up for you instantly with this card. And so this is your confirmation from Spirit to go ahead and go visit this mountain and to ultimately see things from a new perspective and get that fresh air that you need. But the other thing that I am seeing is that there has been a certain mountain that you have been trying to get over. And instead of understanding that maybe that mountain wasn't yours to climb is something I'm hearing. I'm also hearing maybe you like climbed to this mountain without having the proper tools, and there's no shame in going back down the mountain, gaining the right tools, or choosing a new mountain that you do have that you do have the right tools for. And so the other thing that I want to share with this is how important it is to understand the mountain as a metaphor for going through life. So me personally, I actually use this often, and when I was younger, I used to imagine that I was climbing out of a pit, out of a mud pit, and so like you would always slide back down, and so it's really difficult to climb out of a mud pit, especially by yourself. And so at one point though, I realized like, well, no, I'm actually rather successful in my life. Like, I think I've actually shared this story, so I apologize if I have, but I was feeling good about where I was at, but yet, outwardly where I was at looked good, but I still didn't necessarily feel good about it. And so what I saw then instead was that I needed to change my metaphor, because I no longer was in a mud pit, but I didn't take enough time to recognize and celebrate when I got out of the mud pit. Instead, I just kept going and I just rock climbed on the wall, and that's why I didn't see any difference. That's why it always felt so difficult, because I didn't notice that I was on different terrain. I didn't notice that there was an easier way to get up the mountain. And then throughout certain parts of my life, I've talked about like, oh, it's just like stepping off the edge of a cliff kind of situation, and where it takes the breath out of you. And then when you get to the top of a mountain, what do you do next? You learn to fly. And what does that mean when you learn to fly and you go to different peaks? And so there's so many different ways that you can use this metaphor for how you are working within your life. So that is something, another encouragement for a mental practice is to go ahead and understand where you are on the mountain and if this is the right mountain for you. Because again, there's no shame in going to a different mountain. There's no shame in understanding how maybe there's a bridge to that other mountain. So however you need this metaphor to make sense for you, to where it isn't a practice of guilt. And again, forgiving where you are just keeps coming up again, is understanding and forgiving the choices that you've made to get to this point, because it is absolutely okay how you have gotten here, and you needed those skills to help you get up to that other mountain anyway, is ultimately what we're seeing. So I'm hearing like practice makes perfect. So even if you have to walk all the way down and start a whole new hike up the mountain, you are going to be better for it, because now you know how to get through that level of elevation. Now you will get through and walk faster on that second mountain, even if it doesn't seem like it. You truly are able to, you are moving faster and flowing better than if you hadn't traveled on that first mountain in the first place. So hopefully that didn't get too convoluted, but ultimately that is what we're seeing today, is this need to destroy this perception that not only you have of yourself, but that others have of you, and to understand exactly who you are and what you want out of this life, so that you can truly step into what is waiting for you. Because we're just seeing that there is a stuck energy, and that you are letting those around you control your decisions when it is you who gets to decide your life. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Please do not forget to comment below, and I will definitely see you guys next time. Blessed be.